the Wasting Time podcast. First show of 2025. How the devil are you, Nick?
I'm alright, mate. Yeah. January, first episode. Middle of January, feeling a bit flat.
It comes with the territory, doesn't it?
Yeah, not much going on in life.
Oh, come on.
Just getting through the month, getting through to the end of the month.
Oh, that's not what our listeners want to hear. This is very, very downbeat of you. Come on, exciting year ahead.
You're doing dry January, so this should really be coming from you.
Yeah, I should be the moaning one. Come on, you've got lots to look forward to. Turning 40 soon. That's going to be something.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, 40. Yeah, no, it would be nice because we get to see lots of people and have a little bit of a party. I've got some gigs to look forward to as well.
There we go. What gigs have you got to look forward to?
Neck Deep is around the corner.
Nice.
State Champs are in the UK very soon as well.
Yeah.
February next month.
Yeah.
So, February is looking brighter. Put it that
there we
way.
go. And then March will be even better.
Yeah, but I've just got not really much to tell you.
Yeah, fair enough.
I guess that's more what I was getting at. What about you?
Yeah, like yourself, pretty quiet start to the year, but that's okay. Gearing myself up. Gigs, I'll probably catch State Champs when they come to London next month. Not sure what else is on the horizon at the minute. Just kind of looking forward to festivals in the summer as well.
I suppose we've got good bit lined up for the podcast to be released over the next couple of months. Obviously,
oh yeah,
we've got our early November episode here, and those
of course
are in the UK. Almost at time of release, maybe.
Yeah, if you're listening to this as this is released, then check out where they are on tour if you're in the UK, because they will be currently on tour.
Yeah, they've got quite a few dates across kind of England, Scotland, haven't they? So
yes. And
I think they're doing Dublin as well, so they're going to Ireland.
I believe so.
And a few other bits lined up to go out over the next couple of months.
Yeah.
So we'll not say too much about.
Exactly. What's in your ears at the minute? You listen to much that's not children's music?
Well, it's mostly Frozen and Moana soundtrack, unfortunately. New Sam Fender track, people watching.
Any good?
Yeah, it's all right. Looking forward to hearing his kind of new album. Not sure when that's landed. What's on your side?
Most exciting thing for me, Mayday Parade put out a new song the other day, by the way, which I enjoyed very much. And they're putting out it's like a treble release this year, so I'll look forward to that.
Yeah, are they celebrating an anniversary this year or something, 20 years or something? Did I see?
Yeah, something.
Of a record or of being a band?
Being a band, I think. Being a band. I don't know if it was 25 years as a band, something like that, I think.
I wonder if the UK will be dropped into that anniversary tour that they've announced.
Oh, 20 years as a band. They filmed in 05. Oh. Formed in 05.
There's not a huge amount of new releases so far this month that I've seen anyway, which is, given what we just talked about, it being a bit of a month that people kind of just crawl through and just get through. It's probably a really good month for bands to go and release music, right? Where people are at home, they're not going out as much. It's a good opportunity. It's a good time of year to be pushing stuff out. But yeah, it's not really been much going on.
Yeah, it's been relatively quiet. You're right. Well, in terms of things being released, there is something. So we were speaking to the people who work for a solo artist called Days to Waste, who's got a full length out on January 24th, and they were kind enough to send us an unreleased song from that. So I think we should give that a spin, man. Okay, so this is the track Again by Days to Waste.
Look better in your bright eyes, and I've been awake this whole time, giving up, never thought it hurt this much, and every memory turned to dust, did all the remnants look like us? I start to think who I could be before we lost 2016, when we got stuck on evergreens, just waiting for the
Thanks to the Days to Waste team and everyone at Passionate Records for sending that over to us. Look out for the record, which, as I said before, is out on January 24th.
There you go. So yeah, definitely kind of got a synthy vibe.
Yep.
You can see this kind of the Owl City kind of pop punky crossover, can't you?
Absolutely. I should say that in the press release, it says for fans of Owl City, Neck Deep and Nothing Nowhere, which completely makes sense, to be fair. Yeah, it's catchy, man.
Yeah, and it's kind of it feels kind of modern and, you know, where things are at right now. So
absolutely.
Go check it out.
Let's get into today's episode. So, as Nick mentioned before, we had the early November. Well, I say the early November. We were supposed to have Jeff and Ace from the band on, but unfortunately Jeff was unwell, so Ace was rolling solo. But Ace being the front man of the band, of course. They were about to embark on their UK tour where they were... How many years was it, Nick? I can't remember. It was 2003, I believe, that the records... Room's Too Cold came out. Yeah, that came out in 2003. So this album's like an anniversary tour. I believe they did the 20th anniversary out in the States. So they're bringing it to the UK currently. So we spoke to Ace like right before he came out, and with us both being big fans of Drive-Thru Records, we had a lot to talk about with him. So I think let's just get into it.
Well, I'm glad that it could be all right for you. Really, I've tried to make it as easy as possible for you. You know, that's what I'm going for. The ease.
Yeah, and we appreciate you joining us. And yeah, sorry to hear about. Jeff emailed us last night. He said he's come down with flu or something. He's feeling a little rough. So it's just yourself today.
Yeah, he's a little sick guy right now. He I guess he caught something right after New Year, and you know, he's a partier. He parties hard. I can't keep up. I'm in bed by like midnight, usually 11, and he's a party animal. So it makes sense. It can happen to the best of us, though.
And I guess this is when are you guys due to head over our way? That's imminent.
Well, we are going. I'm just getting this thing to stop shaking. We're going in Tuesday. So just in a few days. It's Thursday now. Tuesday we will be headed over. I'm excited.
Good way to start the new year. So what is the plan then? What will you be doing? Like,
well, that's a loaded question. The plan for what in general? Life? What my day-to-days are going to be like?
Well, we could probably get into all of that, right?
Yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah.
You tell me where you want to go with it. But the plan is to do this run. We come right back from this. I take my daughter's got a dance competition in Disney World, so we go directly off the flight home from the UK. I'm home for like a day, then go down there. Then we start right from there, the Emo's Not Dead cruise. I fly directly to Miami and do that. And that brings us to like February 10th or something, February 8th. And it was just like, so it's pretty stacked this month. For a bunch of old guys, that's not too bad, you know?
Yeah, what a way to start the year, I have to say. Yeah, how was the holidays, by the way?
It's good. It's really good. I can't complain. I think it's it's a lot of fun for me. I'm a huge anybody who knows me will tell you I'm a nerd about it. Like I go crazy on decorating and making sure it's like everybody's feeling good. I've always been obsessed with the idea of feeling good. You know, like spreading cheer, if you will. So it's like it's my time for sure. I had a good time. How about y'all? You doing all right?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I've got a 2-year-old, so it was our kind of first Christmas where she really knows what's going on, and so that was interesting managing that whole situation. Some learnings we're going to take into next year, that's for sure.
That's great.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and mine was good as well. My wife and I don't have kids, but my siblings and her sibling do, so we're around a lot of their kids, so kind of got to live in the kind of world you guys live in just for a few days before going back to this, I guess. But it was nice.
That's awesome. I love it.
I was going to say, what kind of does life kind of look like in general for you and the rest of the band kind of these days in and around early November? Are you all kind of still kind of full-time in music, or is it a bit of a mix across the band? Like, what does life in general kind of look like?
For myself, I'll speak for myself first. I'm full time in music, and making that work and balancing life and family, and not just my goals, but the goals of now the people in my family that are around me. So it's a lot of bending and shaping to make things work, and also honestly like realizing that to make life work in the music industry as a mid-level act, if you want to call us that, you have to wear a few different hats. So you've got to be doing several different things to make the like what a normal survivable income would be. And it's something that is I enjoy doing because I like staying very busy. So it's like for me, I'm up at I try to be up every day at like 4:15 a.m. and just like
Oh, wow.
I start my day then, and it's like very getting things lined up, doing all of the other types of work that I have to do, most of it involving music, but all the other types of work that I do. And then this way, when the moment strikes where creativity may happen, I'm ready for it at that time, which sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And then as you can see where I'm at right now, like I have like a ton of instruments all around. Like I'm in, luckily where I live, my house has has an apartment above the garage. So I've sort of turned that into a studio space, DIY studio space. But that's sort of like my bag now, is making things sound good in places where they really shouldn't. And it's kind of what I'm into. So like that's the routine that I'm in, is just like get up early, get ahead of it, do all the things that you have to do, get the get the creativity flowing, and be there for the kids, and do all that stuff. I do a lot in investments and all that. And then when it comes to the other guys, a lot of them have other jobs that they do, side gigs that they do. Jeff is with NBC 10, which is a huge television station here, and our guitar player is an electrician when he's home and crushes. So it's like a good mix of everything really we've got going on.
Whereabouts do you live these days?
I'm in New Jersey still, so
Okay.
I've been here forever. Still here. Tried to move many, many times, but whenever I get ready to pull the trigger, I'm like, I can't take. I don't know if I could be away from family that long, and especially not, for me growing up, like having grandparents around that were right around the corner was a huge positive thing in my life, and I'd hate to deny my children of that.
Fun New Jersey related thing for us and you guys. I saw you guys did a beer with Departed Souls not long ago.
Yeah.
And we released one with them, or we were collabed on one just after your one, which
Nice.
which
Yeah,
is
they're
cool. Brian and that brewery, I love it. Like,
Yeah, it's
I
a
love
good
all the
time.
collabs he does.
It's awesome, and like we got to go there recently to see like hang out in the brewery, and we poured a night for charity.
Yeah.
And it was really cool seeing like how they do everything, and all like they had a ton of like all the artwork from all the collabs that they've done there.
Yeah.
And it's really cool, really, really cool.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. I just we'd been covering the festival in Pittsburgh last year, and I was staying with my friend in Jersey City, and he hosts a running club every week, and it happens to be out of that brewery. And once I got talking to the guy there, I was like, oh wow, we have stuff in common.
That's awesome. I love that.
Cool. I don't know if is it worth us kind of. I mean, we're both old school kind of drive-through, fans from the early 2000s. I mean, Chris is into his 40s. I'm 40 this year, so
Yeah,
I guess
I'm born 82. Are you 82 as well, Ace?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so I guess we kind of wanted just to touch on those years and go through the whole nostalgia of it all. So I don't know if maybe let's kind of start just with your beginnings with Early November, and kind of what your influence is, and kind of that journey in that kind of took you into that drive-through relationship.
Well, I'll start at the beginning here. Drive-Thru was like the only label that we had really, really had our hopes on. So like we were focusing all of our energy on that, as much as we possibly could. So we would try, we definitely put all our eggs in that basket as a young band. And, luckily it panned out and really worked out for us. And, it's like immediately we were part of their family and a part of their network that we got plugged into. And, it definitely helped expedite things for sure, being a part of the Drive-Thru family. It's something I look back on and like, I learned so much so quickly then that a lot of people don't know. Like, I didn't learn anything my whole life pretty much until I got signed. I was like as a student, like I barely passed anything. Like, I think I was exempt from most things just because I had tons of learning issues, and they call them now like learning disabilities or whatever. But like, I didn't like I wasn't like your average person. And then after I figured out that I could write songs and that like that's what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
and somehow all the stars aligned, and then from there on it's like I consider myself having like 2 or 3 different lives, and Drive-Thru is a huge reason why that happened for me and really gave me a confidence, a crew, and like a group of friends. It's like when you're on tour in your early 20s, you're like with the crews, especially when you're touring with the Starting Line, Fall Out Boy, like all those bands that we came up with,
Yeah.
that we spent so much time with, were really formative. And it was a really, really cool experience, and something that I cherish very much. I know how unique and lucky we are to have the experience. So it's very, very awesome.
So you say like Drive-Thru was like the kind of the one label that you were shooting for in those days. Who were like the standout Drive-Thru bands for you as clearly a fan of that label before working with them?
I'd say a couple of the, obviously Newfound Glory. When you're in high school, Newfound Glory was the top of the food chain. Like that was there's Newfound Glory versus Saves the Day. Those were the debates that we would have. Those were the things like, is it Through being cool or Nothing Gold Can Stay? Which one? Huh? You got to pick. You can't like both. And I remember like those were the conversations back then. So Newfound, obviously, Midtown, definitely,
Yeah.
and Starting Line, because we were friends with the Starting Line before they got signed to Drive-Thru. So
Right.
we used to play local shows together way back when, and that's one of those that definitely a special one. So I mean, a lot of those bands we looked up to already, like Homegrown and Alistair, and then to be able to be a part of, I mean, Movie Life, I didn't even forgot that one, but like those are they were like really our people we looked up to, and it was awesome to be a part of it.
So what were you kind of doing in like as a band in advance of like the Drive-Thru signing? Were you still just kind of local in the Jersey area, or were you out kind of further and wider?
Now, we were Jersey area. I guess, one reason being because we were so young. Second reason being because, like I said, I mean, I was not someone with a lot of means to, one, communicate first off, or two, be able to go put myself out there like that in a way of like, oh, we're going to meet people from where I was never charismatic in that way. So that was not in our cards. It was just we played Jersey shows as much as we could. Every week, at least one, we would try and get out and do that as much as possible. And my main focus always was studio. So like I figured
Really?
if I just stay hitting the studio and I like taught myself how to run all the gear, somehow put myself in a ton of debt to be able to get it as an 18-year-old kid, because they were giving credit cards away like crazy back then. And, I taught myself how to use it, and I put most of my energy in saying, okay, let me learn how to do this so I can at least make a song that someone will want to hear. And lucky enough, that happened. So we had most of our focus in studio stuff and Jersey shows. And then beyond that, we didn't start branching out until the Drive-Thru era happened for us.
And how quick was that? When you did sign, then was it like, did it take some time, or did they back you straight on the road with some pretty big tours? Like what? Like how quick did you see that progression?
Yeah, we saw it pretty quick because they signed us maybe like 2-3 months before Warped Tour started, and that year they had a Drive-Thru stage on Warped Tour. So it was like directly from signing with no experience straight to Warped Tour. And it didn't go well for us. We crashed a van, flipped one. We got one, a whole set of gear stolen. It didn't not go well, didn't end well. But, we sort of crammed a lot of learning into a very short period there. And it, ultimately we ended up learning after that for sure. But we sort of went straight out with the Warped Tour. And like I said, had our speed bumps, came back, regrouped. Then we started doing smaller tours. We toured after that, doing a handful of like things that we could just digest. Our first one that was national was Alistair. And it was it was awesome because those guys had been around for a while. They could spend time with us. They were nice enough to want to spend time with us and like show us the ropes. And it was a modest enough tour to be like, it was great. There was people there every night, but it wasn't like crazy. Like they couldn't go outside because there would be a swarm of people. It was like they could take the time to, to really help us out. And they did. And then after that, then they, when they put out their next record, then we were on the Drive-Thru tour at that point, and then it was like that for them, where they were definitely getting a lot more going on. But it was tours like that really helped us. It was them, American Hi-Fi. We did a handful of like digestible runs that could help teach us how to become a band for sure.
When was the first time you came over here?
The first time, right before, it was probably the end of 2002, beginning 2000. No, it was probably the end of 2003 or the summer. We came across with Homegrown and Hello Friendly, I believe, the Hello Friendlies.
I remember them.
Yeah, so we came across with them, and that was our first experience. Like Homegrown always did really well in the UK back then, and it was we got to open for them. And it was awesome. They're probably the band that we spent in those days the most time with. So that tour was a very pivotal one for us because we became really close friends with them. They taught us how to gamble and do things that you probably shouldn't do all the time, and it was it was definitely a big change. Then we ended up coming back and sharing a bus with them on the Drive-Thru tour, which was like 3 months long. So it was a lot of time we spent with Homegrown. We did like a month in the UK and then the 3 months in the US, and it was intense, man. It was an intense time, but we learned a lot from them, and that was really cool. And I remember coming, like landing, getting on the bus and playing a show and coming out of the show and people waiting outside for us in the UK and being like, taking pictures and whatnot. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy because I never would have expected that we come across here and get this type of treatment, to where it was like, it felt almost more like you could feel things really escalating quickly. And the fact that we can go over to the UK with Homegrown, we come out of the venue just played, and the people are waiting and taking pictures and have these like glossies and what I guess that they made to like sign. And I'm like, that is, to me, that was one of the moments where I was like, oh man, I think that this is really working. It's crazy.
Right.
So yeah, it was a really, really cool moment for sure. I'll never forget that trip. Never forget. It was so hot. It was the hottest time, and the bus didn't have air conditioning. I just remember sweating as much as I could. I was depressed, and I remember for some reason walking into, what's the record store, like the big record store chain that from back then, I forget the name
HMV.
HMV or Virgin, it would have been.
And I remember buying the Christina Aguilera record. I have no idea why. And I'm sitting there at this low point, listening to I Am Beautiful, sweating with like no clothes on in my bunk, and being like, what is even happening? Like, what is life right now? I don't even know what is going on. I haven't listened to that record since, but it was a different time. You had to buy CDs back then.
Are you still tight with Homegrown, or have you drifted a bit since those days?
We are. We saw them a few months ago. And they, it was great to catch up with them. They started playing shows again. They came out the last time we were in Anaheim. It was awesome.
Yeah, they're coming over to the UK as well in May, aren't they, for Slam Dunk? So yeah, they're definitely on our list.
Yeah.
Those boys. Yeah. Is there any other kind of Any other tours from those formative years, those early years that really stand out for you?
In the UK,
Just in general, yeah.
any of well, I mean, yeah, I think those are definitely the ones that really ring the bell. But we did a lot of runs with. We never did UK with Fall Out Boy, but we did many runs with them back in the day, and that's when we started headlining. So like after Drive-Thru Tour, we started headlining and doing. We were able to do that, and that's when we really got close with Fall Out Boy. And back in the day, we used to prank each other. Like that was a thing. Like you go on tour and you prank other
Right.
bands. And there's video of this one specific night. And I remember this is when we started to feel like, okay, we can draw people, we could headline rooms. We had Fall Out Boy with us, and we were closing one night, and it was the last night of the tour. And this was probably 2003 for one of those. And they came out on stage and just destroyed us to the point where it was like, I will never do a prank again. Like they covered
Wow.
the entire stage, all of us, and everything in cream. Everything. There was so much cream between my guitar strings and the pickups that I couldn't play. It didn't make sound. And we were only in the middle of like our second song. They destroyed us
shit.
so badly that like to this day, one of the bass amps still has like a marking in tape that was so covered in cream you can't get like the stain out of it. And it's like you still see where they like permanently tattooed the amp. But anyway, we had a lot of cool fun runs like that, and those were special times. So those things really taught us a lot. That the lesson there was like, don't mess with people who are tougher than you. And then, obviously that worked out how it did. And, tougher is the wrong word. It's more like fun, but it was a good time.
Did you get to finish your set that night, or was it cut short because of that?
Yeah, we finished the set, but it was miserable. It was miserable. I was so sticky. And the plan was, we were in Buffalo. The plan was for us to drive back to New Jersey, which is like a 9-hour drive
Right.
after the show. And we had to go somewhere and take showers because it's like we were so covered in cream everywhere that it was like there's no way that it could have that we could have made that work. So it was we did finish. Wasn't great, but we did.
You talked about kind of Warped Tour, being a bit bumpy that first time round, but you must have had a good few runs on the Warped Tour. Kind of how are you feeling about it coming back for those? Was it 4 or 5 dates they're doing next year? Is there any noise around your involvement in that? Can you tell us anything around?
The only thing I can tell you is we're not doing it, but
Okay.
I am really excited to see that they are doing more than one show. I think it's great, and I think it's they were such a huge part of the scene and the industry that you've got all these other festivals popping up. Warped Tour really does deserve, they deserve to be able to do more than one show. It's a really special thing that was built to have done Warped Tour back in the heyday was really, I'm fortunate to have been able to do it. Like honestly, really, really lucky to experience what that felt like. And, something I'm really, really grateful for. So I love seeing it. I wish that, could have worked out for us to be able to do it. But I think that, they're definitely going to do more, and it's, we'll probably cross paths in the future.
Just jumping back real quick to something you said before. So like in the early days, you kind of said you got to know your way around the studio. You were keen to do that. Is that what led you into doing solo stuff quite early on in the early November career? Like, was it kind of wanting to be experiment in the studio and stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I remember that Drive-Thru Tour that we talk about. Like it had, there was a lot of things that were moving really quickly. For me, like I said, life was different than most people. So I wasn't a party guy. I wasn't like let's just go have fun and live in the moment. Like that wasn't me. It was like, I'm going to cherish this thing. Like, so it was very much when that was happening around me and I was forced to live in a environment where it was like that was the majority of what was going on in the younger days,
Yeah.
which is makes perfect sense. Um, I actually recorded a lot of those first I Can Make a Mess demos in my bunk on the drive-through tour. I got a digital recorder, and the label sent it to me. I showed them. Well, first I showed them some songs. I was like, I want to do a solo thing, and because it was just like I needed a way to vent and a way to um, grow outside of what was happening, and they provided a recorder, and yeah, I made most of it, like at least the starting ideas on that tour. It's kind of what drove me to really push outside, being like there has to be more to my identity than just one thing, you know?
Well, I mean, I guess we should probably just touch on kind of, after those early years, kind of you early November, kind of going on that indefinite hiatus. Kind of, what was the story around that? Was it just kind of burnout? Like, was it just like, yeah, the guys wanting to do other things? Like, what was the story around kind of taking that break?
I think I've gone over this question a bunch of times, and the most honest answer I could give is I think that money and power really will mess with your head when you don't know how to digest it. So for us, it
Right.
was like things happened quickly. Some people in the band got power drunk. Some people in the band got money hungry. Some people got, all justifiable, all justifiable. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but what it does is sets your expectations differently, and it pulls you away from reality. So now your expectations aren't rooted in reality or a goal necessarily. They're rooted in something that is a little tainted because it's not a clear image. And I think that is what ultimately made us go on. That was a something that was rooted in spite and not necessarily rooted in what the best interest for business is. So at that point, I wouldn't consider any of us business owners. We were all just operating something that we didn't really know how to operate. And then once you put finance in that, money, and anytime you walk into a room, someone's going to hand you a drink and think you're the coolest person in that room, it
Yeah.
messes with you. So
Right.
that
Yeah.
I think ultimately, and then not knowing how to navigate business in general, we just made poor decisions.
Yeah. And I suppose like being what you'd have been like mid-20s or something like that at that time.
Mid
So
20.
being really young
Exactly.
as well, you know.
Right. To have peaked at, or be at the, I don't want to say peaked, but to have be at the top of the roller coaster when you can start to see down in your
Yeah.
early 20s is a dangerous place to be, because you got all that anticipation, everything building up, and then wait a second, you can see the ground again. Um, at a time in life when you don't even know to expect, well, you're going to go down, but it's going to come back up. You're young. You're like, we're going down. We're hitting the ground. That's it. And everybody panics, and there you go.
So was the fallout of that quite difficult to navigate for a couple of years there?
It was honestly, I think for me, it was a little bit easier because I just continued to keep going. I made records.
Okay.
I had a
Yeah.
couple different record uh, labels that I worked with in the meantime. And, I still did a lot of tours. I never stopped touring. It was just like, all right, the band is hiatus, maybe for like a couple months. I worked on new music, and then it was like touring nonstop ever since then. So it did eventually get difficult, because, you know, like I said, business is business, but
Yeah.
um, it's um, it's definitely a top like a that's the second phase of my life. That's probably where I became smart after that,
Okay.
because I
Yeah.
learned how to navigate things on a not when everybody's throwing the world at you budget, at a all right, how do we make it work when it has to work,
Yeah.
regardless of the environment.
So I guess assuming you kind of took that into the reunion, and you and kind of Jeff coming back together in what 2011, 12. Like, how
Yep.
did that conversation start? Like, was it just an itch that you needed to kind of to
I
deal
think,
with between you, or
yeah, we saw it bubbling. for sure that people wanted, really wanted a show to happen. And we, Jeff was probably the hardest to convince to do a show, honestly, out of
Really?
everybody else. Everyone was sort of like, would love to see what would happen. And, everybody grew up a little bit for sure. And, it's when you take those unrealistic expectations and you see them fail, it's humbling. Trust me, it's a very humbling thing. And that
Yeah.
is something that allows you to grow up a little bit. And I think everybody just sort of grew up. Once Jeff was on board, we did that first show, which was like a very surreal moment, because we did it at a venue that was very special to us. It was bigger than we've headlined, and it sold out so quickly. We were like, all right, well, yeah, I guess this makes sense for us to do. And that was like, it was really it.
I guess from that point on, I mean, you kind of released signed with Rise Records, didn't you? And you've kind of consistently, well, reasonably consistently been releasing music ever since. What did you set out as part of that reunion in terms of like the outlook for you guys as a band? Like what was the ambition at that stage of your I guess your evolution?
I think the goal was to do better than we did the first time, as far as, mentally. And I think we've been a band longer now, this on the second run, than we were on the first one. We've always been more consistent. And it, it's definitely, it's been an interesting ride. It has its ups and downs, but making it work is a real joy, honestly. And I don't think we had a real expectation. We maybe just said like, we want to see what we can do. Failed a couple times again, but leveled out ultimately and figured out what works for this iteration of it. And right now, we're just going to take some time after these next couple runs and really refocus on what makes sense. Take a little time doing other things and give it a breath for a minute, because it's honestly been so busy that it feels right to take a breath now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, speaking of being busy, the most recent record was the full length you put out last year. I think that was like last June that came out. How are you feeling about that? How do you think the fan reaction has been to that one, being the most recent one?
And it's tough to answer these questions, because I feel like the fan reaction has been great for people who listen to it. It's just getting people to listen to it is not easy. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah,
it's not easy, because the people who listen to it are like, oh, it's great. It feels like, it's like a modern way to be authentically who you started out as, or something along the lines of that. But then, you'd be surprised every single time we play a show, people will come up to me and be like, I didn't know you guys were still making music or doing anything. Do you have anything new? And I'm like, this literally just came out. They're like, what? You had something that came out? And that's like, that's the unfortunate aspect of where it is. Like, it's hard to get people to listen to things. It's hard to live in a world of algorithms and viralness when you are not by nature viral by any means.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because like I feel like there would have been a lot of people who were into you the first time round, who then kind of went through life and had kids and stuff, and maybe didn't pay attention to what was happening in the music world, and they'll by default probably just go back to those records they loved at the time. I know that with a lot of my friends, because I've kind of been pretty much consistently into this kind of music, but I hear that a lot. People they'll only listen to the records from back in the day and just don't keep up with what's happening these days. Yeah, it's funny.
It's the truth. It is the truth, and it's wild. It's definitely. I'm grateful for it. Honestly, I'm grateful to be the ability to keep doing it. But definitely one of those things. Like, man, like I would love to play a couple of these songs that are from the newer records, but it's just getting people to hear it is not the easiest thing.
Yeah. And then obviously, at the top of this, we touched upon your imminent UK run. which will either be happening as this is released or slightly after for people listening to this right now. But that's kind of centered around the Rooms Too Cold record.
Right.
So I wonder if you will have fans coming to that who've missed out on a great record last year.
I believe so. I believe that will be the case.
Okay, yeah.
Do you have a plan for that? Is it an anniversary? It's like a 20 years of Rooms Too Cold.
So is it 2003 that record?
Yeah, 2003.
22 years.
Yeah,
22 years. No, we did the
Yeah.
20 year, I guess, at the end of 2023. And it took forever to get this booked and planned because initially we wanted to do the same tour, but we couldn't get it to work. So now we are doing it 2 years late, but yeah, doing it.
Nice.
So
nice.
what's the plan? Because I've been to kind of a couple of these type of shows recently. So I saw Movie Life do 40-hour train back to Penn, and they did that record front to back in order. And then we saw Yellow Card do the Ocean Avenue anniversary, but they just did a bit of everything. Did a load of Ocean Avenue, not in order.
Yeah.
Threw a few other their tracks in. Like what's the plan? Can you tell us?
Yeah. The plan is, I'd say, we're gonna do the Rooms Too Cold back to front though,
Back to front. Okay.
and then we'll do some other things. Some other songs from other records, like the bigger ones off of the more recent records.
Yeah.
That makes sense to play, and yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a fun time. But yeah, definitely back to front. Ending it with Ever So Sweet is much better than starting it with Ever So Sweet. So it works out for us.
Yeah. It's
Cool.
an interesting way to do it. Is there any UK spots that you're looking forward to hitting in particular? Having
All of them.
obviously been here a few times.
All of them. I'm looking forward to all of them. Actually, I love it everywhere. So I'm really just excited to be back in that environment and whatnot. So I think I can't even pick one. I've been thinking about that actually. I'm like, you know what? I just am excited to be there. There is no standout.
And I guess for our listeners' benefit, if we do get this out in time, we've got Manchester, Leeds, Dublin, Southampton. Oh, I'm doing this in the wrong order, aren't I? I should do it in order. London, no. Southampton, no. Dublin.
Oh, nice job, Nick.
Dublin is first. They're not in order on my screen. That's the annoying thing. Dublin, Southampton.
Yeah, we gathered that.
London, Bristol, Nottingham, Manchester, Leeds, Glasgow. There you go.
Sweet.
What's your favorite thing about the UK? Would you say?
Look, I think there's I mean, I'm a firm believer in there's an energy to a place, and I just love, first and foremost, I love the vibe. I love the energy, the history, all of it. But I will say, and this is a controversial point, and I know it's not going to be favorable or favored as of my later times in life, my favorite thing is Weatherspoons. Honestly.
Ace, I'm not even joking. I can think off the top of my head of at least 3 American artists we've spoken to in the last 4 months when they've been asked that broad question, and they all say Weatherspoons.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're Escape the Fate, Against the Current, or Early November. You're going to love Weatherspoons, apparently.
Yeah.
It's good for managing a tour budget. I guess that's for sure.
It is. The breakfast, hands down, is it's the best way to start the day. So I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yep, the third member of our team, Greg, will agree with you. He loves a Weatherspoons breakfast. Whenever we're away somewhere, we have to go to Weatherspoons for breakfast. I think.
Gets me.
I suppose there's not really an American equivalent of Weatherspoons, is there really?
Nah, it would be definitely not as good. It'd be like a Denny's or something.
Yeah.
And that's not gonna do justice. So
Cool. I guess what does the rest of 2025 look like? If you got a plan after that kind of UK run and those shows you talked about when you get back to the US, if you got more of a plan for later in the year, yeah. For 10, not really. We're gonna be doing these, and then, like I said, letting it rest for a little bit.
Working on some stuff for 2026, but not really doing anything much with 2025 other than working for 2026. So everything is going to be geared towards next year,
Right.
and we're going to take the rest of 2025 and sort of just lay low. I will have a solo record coming out in 2025, but other than that, really just laying low 10 wise, and letting people forget about it for a little bit.
Cool. Well, we've got a little question from one of our listeners that
Oh,
I
yes,
wanted to
yes.
ask.
Yeah.
So
I should just say shout out to Darren, former host on this show as well.
there you go. He was asking about Jack Antonoff. Obviously, you did a bit of touring with Steel Train back in the day.
Yeah.
He is now like just obviously a bit of a superstar and working with some of the biggest artists in the world. Did you see something in him back in the day? Was that like what was it like working with him before he became this
Yeah.
massive success?
That's a great question. Yeah, I remember the very first time I met Jack. It was on Warped Tour, in 2002. We signed our contracts literally a week apart from each other.
Oh, wow.
So we were both the new bands on Drive-Thru, and I remember meeting him. We're both from New Jersey, but
Yeah.
we met in LA, and it was the LA Warped Tour date. We hung out, and then I remember being behind the stage at the end of the day. So the stage crew was like cleaning everything up. We were there with Drive-Thru, and Jack just pulled out a guitar and was just playing Beatles songs. And I remember thinking immediately, like, this guy's way better than me at guitar. And I didn't know his songwriting then, but we became really good friends. And I've toured a bunch. I toured a bunch with him after that. And he even played guitar at my wedding, and was the entertainment during the ceremony. And it was really 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 cool, to see, think back on that stuff and see where he is now, where it's been. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years, probably
Yeah.
at least a year. But to see where he has become and what he has become, and where the path has taken him, is amazing. It's really something that, like, man, to know somebody who really did it like that is, it's awesome. It really is awesome. And every time I see him, like I saw him on, I think it was one of the like entertainment shows here, like the paparazzi shows the other day, like taking pictures of him walking out of a place. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, because that was never his personality. Was
Right.
not his personality back then. It wasn't his personality when we toured, to be like a guy that would, like, that's what he was. He was never striving for that. And to see it happen and him be like as successful and legitimate as one can get is absolutely incredible. So, I mean, I'm so proud of what he has done and his abilities. So it's beautiful. He's got a beautiful family, like his whole family, his parents, his sister, like the whole
Yeah.
crew is absolutely wonderful people. And it's just like so great to see success find people like that. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
Jack rocks. He definitely awesome, awesome human.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember
We're
being at a
definitely fans
movie
as well.
with him one time, and he ran out of the bathroom. This is right before we were going in to sit. And it was one of those movie theaters back in the day where they have like, it was before every movie had like assigned seats. And I remember having our seats, our tickets, and being like, all right, we got to go in. And he comes running out of the bathroom, and he in a panic, because I guess he somehow went to the bathroom and dropped his glasses into the toilet. So he had to figure out how to like get them out of there. And it was like a whole ordeal. And then we went and saw a movie, and it was very fun. It was very, like, having those kind of memories of somebody who is like the status that they are is
Yeah.
beautiful. And I love it. I hope he thinks about stuff like that every once in a while, but it's awesome.
I think we can probably wrap this up in a second, Nick, unless I'm missing anything. Just a couple, Ace, if it's cool, just a couple of kind of general questions, and then Nick's come up with like a final like quick fire thing, and then we can wrap this up. If that's
Yeah.
cool with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very general question, but are there any bands that you haven't toured with yet that they're like on your radar? It's like I would fucking love to tour with these guys.
Jimmy Eat World, top for sure.
Mm.
That's definitely
Easy.
one that like we never toured with, but that's a band that I would love to tour with for sure. So I would go with Jimmy Eat World as the easy answer for me.
The plan was basically to throw load of records at you from the Drive-Thru era, basically, and basically you've got to pick one or the other to leave
Okay.
one record standing. We've decided not to put any early November records in here, obviously because there'll be an element of bias in there. But we'll touch on that at the end. Actually, no, let's start there.
Okay.
If you had to pick one early November record to keep, can only keep one. Which one? Which one are you choosing?
Sheesh. I guess I'm gonna go with the weirdest one, and that's gonna be the triple disc, the Mother, the Mechanic, and the Path, the 2006 release, just because it's the most unique, you know. Yeah, it's
Right.
weird.
Okay. Let's dive into this Drive-Thru roster set of records then. So first choice is I feel like we're probably going to know the answer here. So Homegrown's Kings of Pop versus Hidden in Plain View, Life and Dreaming.
I love them both. I love them both as people, but I gotta go Homegrown Kings of Pop. The best intro song on a record.
Oh yeah.
Gotta have
Tomorrow.
that
I
one.
love that record.
Yeah. Okay, so Kings of Pop up against Movie Life's EP, the Gambling Problem EP.
This is rough because Vinny is one of my very good friends. But if it was the full length, I probably would have went with that. But I gotta go Homegrown again.
Okay.
Is that what you said? You said
Yeah. So we got Kings of Pop versus Alistair Last Stop Suburbia.
Man, this is all kind of sad because I want to root for all of them. But I'm gonna go Kings of Pop again. I'm rolling Kings of Pop. I'm rolling the
Staying
dice.
in place. Okay, Kings of Pop up against that Finch, What It Is to Burn record.
I gotta. Well, I mean, that Finch record is really good. But I'm riding high with Kings of Pop.
Okay, Kings of Pop versus RX Bandits Progress.
Another one that I love it, but I'm rolling with Kings of Pop. I'm going with it. I think I'm running the whole gamut with Kings of Pop. Pick a good one to start with.
Yeah, let's see if it can make it to the end. We only got a couple more. So we got Kings of Pop against that first Midtown record, Save the World, Lose the Girl.
Save the World, Lose the Girl. I'm going Midtown.
Yeah, it had to be. Come on.
Yeah.
That's a great record. Okay, Save the World, Lose the Girl, or Newfound Glory, self-titled first record.
I'm gonna go Midtown. I'm riding the Midtown train. I love that Newfound Glory record is so important to me, but I am gonna go Midtown.
Okay, we've got Midtown. We've got two more. See if they can beat them both. So Midtown against the Something Corporate first full length they did, Leave Them Through the Window.
I'm gonna go Midtown.
Okay, and last one. This is one of my probably favorite albums on the Drive-Thru releases. So Save the World, Lose the Girl, or Say It Like You Mean It by the Starting Line.
Now you got to do that to me. You got to do that to me. I mean, this is a really tough one because it's just very, very, very tough. But I will say, from front to back, Say It Like You Mean It is great, and so is Save the World. This one's might have stumped me. I mean, because I got to cut emotions though. Cut emotions here, okay?
Yep. Be objective.
It's so tough because that record was way more successful than most Drive-Thru records. That Starting Line record, and obviously growing up with them. Midtown took me this far, but I'm gonna go with the Starting Line to end it off on.
There you go.
I'd have picked Midtown personally. You'd have picked Starting Line, would you, Nick?
Yeah, Kings of Pop probably would have done well in that as well for me. Yeah.
I gotta go Starting Line. Like we did the UK with Starting Line, and it was a beautiful tour. I loved every second of it, and I love that Midtown record though. Both equal for me. Hard.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah. I miss Midtown.
Nice. Well, I mean, we really appreciate your time, Ace. Thanks for joining us. And
really appreciate
being
it.
our first guest of 2025 as well.
Yeah.
So
Great start.
Yeah, really appreciate you speaking to us, and we hope you have a really good year and a great time in the UK.
Yeah, I'm potentially at the London one, so if I am, I'll definitely come say hi to you guys.
Please reach out. Would love to meet in person. So yeah, have a great great everything, and thank you for having me. Had a blast.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ace.
Cheers, Ace. Take care, bud.
See ya.
Bye.